So we've all seen it as parents and coaches, as myself. You'll have a young kid, right, elementary school age, that just is amazing as a player, right? They do almost everything perfect. Um, it could be 8 years old around that age, and you're like, wow, this kid is going to go pro one day. Funny thing is that there's no correlation between a kid peaking that early and going pro. Check out this video.
This is going to piss people off, but the U.S. youth national team is now completely moving away from the U13 man child. They're realizing that they're not the ones that come through. There is zero correlation between early puberty dominance and becoming a pro. And so now they're moving more towards the late bloomers, right? And that is going to expose a lot of clubs.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
going to expose a lot of coaches. It's going to expose a lot of parents that think that their kid at 13 years old was like the next one up.
We can have this conversation, honestly,
Yeah.
right now.
I think people watching that video, I think people do get so caught up in their kid being great early on. And if their kid's not, they put pressure on them, right? As a young kid. Some kids develop later on. Some kids don't even have that fire inside when they're real young to be great. And that's okay. That's perfectly normal. Again, I've coached kids that are like 7, 8 years old. That's all they do is play soccer, which is fine. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'd rather a kid do that than play video games, but it doesn't mean they're going to become a pro. Kids can grow for a love for the game later on, maybe middle school age. But it's interesting that, studies are showing that really kids can develop a little bit later, maybe middle school years or so on, and they'll just be just as good or better than those other kids. The other thing too, when a kid peaks so early, a lot of times they're not playing against competition that is of the same level. And that's a problem because once they start playing a tougher level of competition and kids start catching up with them talent wise, it can really hurt their confidence and really shatter them in some ways. And their confidence is shot, and they're no longer having the ability really to be a great player because their confidence is no longer there. Um, anyway, give me your comments below. Love to hear what everyone thinks about this topic.